Hello everyone, this is Anastasia Stoyanova, and in today's video we are going to look at Task 1, CELPIP Speaking. As you know, that CELPIP itself consists of different sections. So we have listening, reading, writing, and speaking comes last. So it's the final part, and this part consists of 8 parts. So every part has a very, very specific structure. You gotta make sure you know the structure because time goes fast during the test. The first part is called giving advice to somebody. And we'll take a look in this lesson. We'll practice. We'll take a look at the examples. So stay here with me, please. First things first, the task in numbers. So we have 30 seconds to prepare. Just to remind you guys, and for those maybe who are just getting familiar with the way it's all done, there's no examiner, there's no person. So you are at the computer in a test center, sitting there, and you're recording yourself, all right? So everything is automatized, everything is done at the computer. So you got 30 seconds to prepare, and the instructions tell you to do so. And I will show you, this is the same way it's done on a real exam, the same way we do this on our platform at englishstoyanova.ca you will see today. 30 seconds to prepare, 90 seconds to speak. So for this task, you have just a little bit more time to speak. They give you a bit more time because most of the tasks are 1 minute, so 60 seconds. But for this one, and 90 seconds just because you're warming up, you're getting your things together, collecting yourself, so they give you a bit more time. And there's one take, meaning one attempt on a real exam. So no re-recording. You cannot just start over. No. So that's why you have to make sure you practice, and practice makes perfect. That's why we created the platform that can give you instant feedback based on the criteria. But we'll talk about it together, and I'll show you how it works. So in today's lesson, we'll cover task format, how it's scored, how to structure your response. We'll talk about the main traps, what not to do, how to succeed, and we'll actually record our answer and get it assessed by AI, considering all of the criteria that we put into it, all the standards, all of the official stuff. So let's get started. I'm so excited. So task format, preparation and recording. So that's how it's gonna look like. So this is the screenshot from the official site, celpip.com, celpip.ca. So we have a context, you read the context. Remember that your timer starts once you see the task. So they do not give you extra time to think. Once you see the task, you have to make sure you read very fast. Friend is looking for a summer job, so you read silently, yeah, just to understand. And your preparation time starts once you see the question, once you see the task. A friend is looking for a summer job. Advise him about different ways he can find work for the summer. That's it. That's our task. It always like that. Give advice to someone. Can be a colleague, a friend, no matter who, but it's always give advice. So real situation, I think, because we give advice every day, I would say. Usually it's like 2-3 sentences, right? But in this case, no, because it needs to be longer, 90 seconds. So it should feel like a conversation. I'm pointing this out. And it should be a bit longer because you gotta give examples, and we'll take a look at the structure together. You prepare in silence, and then once you see on the screen speaking time, it will show you, so you know you got to start saying something into the microphone. So that's why practicing at home is important, is crucial, I would say. Because one take, you cannot re-record. That's why on our platform, we recommend that you practice a lot, you buy subscription, and that you record yourself, get the feedback, learn the phrases, just like that. So how it's scored? They consider 4 things. So first, that's the content and coherence. How you developed your ideas. Did you structure them logically in accordance with the task? Did you consider everything? That's why reading is like a very important part of the speaking skill, you see, because you got to read first to be able to understand what they want from you. vocabulary. So of course, there will be some structures that you could memorize and you could reuse during the exam. But some precise vocabulary, that would depend on the topic that you will get, because advice can be about anything, right? Could be about buying a present to a loved one, or like in the example that we saw, finding a summer job. So it can be very different. That's why, of course, they are able to test your topic vocabulary or context-specific vocabulary. There is also listenability. How well you actually sound, your rhythm, your pace. Are there pauses? So you are not really allowed to make so many pauses. Of course, you could make a natural pause, like just to think for a brief moment. So, just do not make longer pauses or do not make too many of them. That makes it hard to listen. You should sound as if you are at ease, you are relaxed. You should imitate the real conversation, just like in real life. Having an accent is fine. Just please remember that pronunciation and accent are different things. Of course, everyone has an accent, right? Even native speakers have an accent because they come from different parts of the world, right? There is an American accent, there is a British accent, and so on. So what I'm saying is the way you pronounce words, the way you put a stress into a word, that should be something to work on, to focus on. Okay, so, but don't worry about the accents. Just as long as you are clear, it's easy to understand you, you'll be fine. Task fulfillment, we have topics that are covered. And for example, if they ask you specific context, yes, not just any advice, but advice, how to find a good present for your mother. So or sometimes depends on the task, because now we are talking about giving advice. For every task fulfillment will be different. So let's say for the task where you have to tell a personal story, they also look at how many points you covered, if you answered all of the parts of the question or not. Okay, but keep that in mind. For all of the parts, the criteria are the same. But the structure will be different. So in our case, we are working, give advice. Yeah, this part, we are working with this part. Give advice to someone, to a colleague, to a friend. So first thing, you open up, you greet your friend or your colleague, you show that you understand the situation. You kind of, just in one sentence, you present the situation. I would say like that. And I'll show you the example. I don't know, like, hi, John, or hi, Sarah. I understand that you recently did this and that, and let me help you, let me give you advice. So just a little bit of presentation of the situation in one sentence. Do not lose much time. There's only 90 seconds that you have. There are only 90 seconds. So you see that in order to score well, you need to have 3 pieces of advice. And for every piece of advice, you also should say why. So to give a specific suggestion plus the reason behind it. And also at the very end, you got to include piece of advice, maybe example, but most importantly, make sure you include a warm goodbye, a warm wish. For example, good luck with, finding a summer job or buying a present for your mom, things like that. So just to think in your head, just think about it. It's a real life situation. It's not artificial. Say what you would say in real life. Let me give you an example here. So CLB 7 and 9. When you give advice, for example, you should join a club. It's a good way to meet new people, I think. It's not persuasive. It's not developed well. Yeah, you give your reason. Not bad. Why not? But if there is a condition, reason, and a warm tone, more persuasive tone, that's great. For example, you could say, if I were you, just memorize this very good phrase, I'd join a local hiking club. That way, you explain why. You'll meet people who already know the city, which makes settling in much faster. A lot of explanation, and that just boosts your score because you give a lot of detail, and that's great. It depends on the task. Try to think on your feet, because there are so many contexts. We cannot just get ready for everything. But with the help of our platform, you can get ready better. You could take a look at more examples. That's always great. And we'll jump into practice pretty soon. So here we also have some phrases. This is just, the tip of the iceberg, just a little bit to scratch the surface. For example, you could say, if I were you, I would. And then you could develop and explain why. That way you will do something. You might want to. That's just another way of saying you should. You might want to do something. Have you thought about searching online, for example? And then you expand. One thing that helps is, and then blah, blah, blah. What I'd suggest is, and then blah, 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 your idea. It's worth trying to search online, yeah, and then you explain why. My advice would be to do something, yeah, to go online. This is just an example, yeah? And then for every advice, you explain why. That way you will, blah, 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 because it would help you, blah, blah, blah. So you can feel more relaxed, example, or you could feel more confident, so on, which means less stress. That saves you time. Since it worked for my family, it would work for yours, for example. Why not? Just something to memorize, to fill in, to sound more natural, I would say. And the last one, so you won't feel alone. Depends on the situation, but these are good things, good explanations that might work in many contexts. Advice without a why falls flat. So please make sure that you know that the rater, the examiner, expects a reason, the explanation, not just say, okay, you should do this, that's it, yeah? Get personal, explain based on your personal life. I've tried that, I've tried this, it worked for me when I did this, yeah? So in that way, you also show the command of grammar, maybe give examples based on your past experience. And also the main trap, I would say, based on my experience, is that people jump straight away into the advice without presenting the situation, okay? So present it first, then go to the advice. Do not give yourself a long wind-up. Like, do not say, oh, it's a hard question, let me think about it. Try to avoid that if you can, because, yeah, sometimes it might work if you don't know what to say. But in most cases, I would just say greeting for sure, very brief explanation of the situation, and then jump straight into the advice, okay? Because time goes fast. And right now, we're going to move to practice. Please go to my website, English Stoyanova, that's my last name, and I'll put the link in the description of this video. Just click on the description of this video, you'll find it, englishstoyanova.ca/app/, or you could just punch it in like that on your screen, and we're going to practice together. I'll show you how it works, how it assesses your speaking in a real time, and that's great. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to go here, and you see that it's a very big platform. We have built so many great things here, like listening, reading. By the way, if you have not watched the previous videos, please go and watch them and enjoy the explanations, and I hope you benefit greatly. I really do. So this one here, give advice. I'll click on it, and we'll take a look together at this part, which is called Finding a Family Doctor in Canada. And in order to save time, and for you just to demonstrate how it works, I have prepared my answer, okay? Just to save time, just to show a good example. And I'll show you how the platform records myself. And because it's not a real exam, like if we are practicing, you can always re-record yourself and it will reassess you. We also provide you with a sample, so once you record yourself, you can read through the samples. It's a great way to learn all of those useful phrases, okay? So I am preparing my answer here, and I'm gonna click start. So it shows you 30 seconds preparation to read and understand the context and to record yourself. So here we go. We have a coworker recently moved to Canada and is struggling to find a family doctor. Advise them about how to get a family doctor and access healthcare in Canada. Once you're done, you could click and read the samples. But right now, we're just gonna prepare. and then it will record your response. If you want to skip, you can skip. It's just for practice, and I'll show you the response, okay, that I prepared. Hi, Sarah. I heard you've been struggling to find a family doctor since you moved here, so I wanted to share a few things that might help. If I were you, the first thing I'd do is register with Healthcare Connect, as most provinces have similar service. It's a free government program that matches people who don't have a family doctor with local family physicians who are currently accepting new patients. It can take a while, but it's really the main path to getting a permanent doctor here. In the meantime, another thing you could do is use walk-in clinics for anything that comes up. You don't need to be registered anywhere. You should just bring your health card, and they can handle most non-urgent issues while you're still waiting to be matched with someone. One more suggestion is to ask around at work or in your neighborhood. Sometimes a doctor's office will make room for a new patient if an existing patient refers you, so it's worth mentioning to a few people that you're looking for a family doctor. Finally, if something ever feels urgent but it isn't an emergency, telehealth is a good option. You can talk to a nurse over the phone anytime. Also, don't forget about community health centers. Why not? Especially ones connected to newcomer settlement services. I hope that helps, and let me know if you'd like me to send you the registration link. Bye. Okay, so right now I have recorded my answer here. And of course, just in order to demonstrate it well, I have prepared my answer, right? But when you practice, please make sure you do not use any sources. Just memorize the phrases and the transitions and try to do your best. But of course, this was just for the purpose to demonstrate the response. And I'm going to submit answer. And the platform is listening to our recording right now, considering all of the criteria, all of the official standards, and it gives us great tips here. For example, speak to the microphone, record yourself, listen back. You'll catch pronunciation habits. Don't worry about minor mistakes. Self-correction shows good language awareness. You see great tips here. So while you're waiting for the platform to assess your answer, that's a good habit to fall into, just to read. Here we go, and we have CELPIP level 10, which was my aim to go and to show you like 9, 10, I would say. And it assesses your answer. And by the way, guys, you can always find your recording here. Let me show you a little bit of functions, a little bit of platform capabilities here. For example, your recording is here. You could click and you could re-listen. Let me just check. Hi, Sarah. I heard you've been struggling to find a family doctor since you moved here. So I wanted to share a few things so you could hear my voice, hopefully. And but I could hear my voice when I click on it. And I could also, your transcript, I could click on expand, and everything I said got registered. Can you imagine? I think that's great. Just great way even to assess what you said, to look at what phrases you used. Did you use this or that phrase? Just to make sure you did your job well according to the task. So in this case, I opened up by introducing the situation, okay? I greeted her or him. Here they don't give us his or her, like no name. We came up. Sometimes they give a name. Yeah, talk to, I don't know, John. In this case, make sure you use John and not Sarah or any other name. But then I briefly introduced the context. I said, oh, I heard you've been struggling to find family doctors since you moved here. So just briefly, one sentence. And then I started and I jumped into this answer, and I used some of the useful phrases like, if I were you, the first thing I would do is, you see? And then I gave this idea, and then I gave the explanation how it works. Healthcare Connect, which is the real thing, yeah? So free government program. I explained how it works. And then I also provided the example, and I said one more thing. Yeah, another thing. I provided a transition, like a transition into one more advice, one more tip. one more piece of advice, one more tip here. Another thing you could do is use walk-in clinics. And I explained that you don't need to be registered for that. You see? And then one more phrase, one more suggestion is to ask around. Why not? Finally, yeah? So, and then at the very end, I concluded very warmly, and I said, I hope that helps. Let me know if you'd like me to send you the registration links. Bye. So, and then it gives me some areas for improvement. For example, more things, yeah, like language barriers. They're just some things to improve if you want to like score and get CLB 12, which is, it's real, you know, trust me. When I was taking my CELPIP, I actually got CLB 12 for my speaking. So you could do it, you know, I could do it, you can do it for sure. So specific names, yeah, there is an improved version. So we always give you the expanded version. AI improves and builds on top of your version, and you can pause the video and read if you want to, just adding more specific vocabulary here. There's vocabulary highlights, some words that used well, for example, some words to learn, why not? For example, interim, instead of saying temporary, why not? Credential recognition, accessibility. Okay, so some of the things that I like is also words used well. You can, when AI tells you, okay, great words, great vocabulary, just make sure you write it down. You can reuse it later, or you never know, you might get very similar context during your real exam. And then after that, you can always go back because, you know, platform keeps your recording, and you can always reference and re-listen and track your progress. It's a very good tool to do that. And also, it corrects your grammar and vocabulary, like I said. So that's why in this case, for example, we did not have any mistakes. But if you do, it will highlight your mistakes and it will tell you why. So it's a great tool to learn, not just test yourself. Here, if you click Task 1 course lesson, just going to briefly show you, though that's a lot of interesting things, useful things like templates, that are available. If you subscribe and support our work, I would highly appreciate it. If you subscribed, that would support me and my work. And also we have courses. So you see, for every skill we have courses that give you more practice, that give you more theory and templates, and also foundation to succeed. Okay, and there are great, and they all come together as one great way to prepare and to succeed. Okay, and I hope you enjoyed that. And we are going to continue, and we'll look at more examples of the speaking tasks in the next videos. Once again, feel free to try it out. You know, it's very affordable. I will link my platform. The link will be in the description to this video. And I will see you in the next video. And we'll talk about task 2. And good luck in your exam. Bye.